Welcome back to another insightful and exciting episode of Me and My Health Up. I'm your host, Anthony Hartcher. I'm a clinical nutritionist and lifestyle medicine specialist. The purpose of this podcast is to enhance and enlighten your well-being. And today I'll be doing that for you, and we're going to be talking about weight loss drugs, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yes, I've had clients come to me, I've had friends, family members come to me and talk about weight loss drugs that are hitting the world by storm, or certainly hitting the US by storm. They've come to Australia. They're starting to get around in Australia. Doctors are starting to prescribe these weight loss drugs. So it's a big industry, as you're probably well aware. It's $100 billion industry, the weight loss industry, $100 billion. That's a lot of money. And there's many players in this space, such as Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig, some of the big names, the big players. And recently, Jenny Craig closed its doors. It's going out of business as a result of the emergence of weight loss drugs. Not only the emergence of weight loss drugs, but I think also people have got a bit sick and tired of their programs that become a bit boring and monotonous, and they're looking for something more novel. They're looking for something that requires less effort. As we do as humans, we're always looking for something easier. As humans, we are wired to take the easiest path. And so these weight loss drugs offer a real easy path. They're injectable at the moment. And now there's studies, or certainly progress in terms of getting a tablet into the market, or a tablet approved for the market. So there's studies that are waiting approval, or just completion and then approval, FDA approval of these tablets, so that you don't have to inject this drug. At the moment, it's only in the injectable form. So let's talk about what's the drug. You've probably heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, a couple of the big brand names produced by Novo Nordisk. There's also Pfizer's just entering the market. Pfizer, you're well aware of through the COVID vaccine. They certainly became a very prominent brand name. Pfizer's just released its last study. I think it's its final study and now going through FDA approval for the danuglipron. Danuglipron, I think, is the name of their drug. And so these drugs all come under the generic name of a semaglutide. Okay, a semaglutide is the generic name. What I've just mentioned were the brand names associated with this generic name of drug. So what's the drug? What is the secret behind its success? What are people most excited about? It's a drug. It's analogous to it acts on the GLP-1 receptor of the pancreas. So it's an agonist in the sense that it has a connection. It then triggers that receptor to initiate the release of insulin into the bloodstream. So this drug is essentially administered into the bloodstream. It then gets to the receptors on the pancreas, which are initiated to release insulin into the bloodstream. That helps with the removing blood glucose from the bloodstream into the cells. And the other thing it does, so not only it helps with lowering the blood sugar, so it reduces your blood sugars. And so this is prescribed to type 2 diabetes, but what people are most excited about is the weight loss benefits associated with it. And so these type 2 diabetic patients inject the drug. It not only reduces their blood sugar readings, it lowers the blood sugar reading, it also slows gastric emptying. So in terms of the stomach, the contents from the stomach are slower released into the small intestines. And so that slower release is sending a signal to the brain that you're still full. You don't need any more food. And so you take longer to digest the food. You get the signals of fullness for longer periods of time. Therefore, you eat less. So it helps with eating less. And it also helps with blood sugar regulation. And it also lowers the HbA1c. So HbA1c is an indicator of how much glucose has been circulating in the blood over a period of 3 months, because it's what it is the glucose binding to the hemoglobin. So the hemoglobin in the bloodstream carries the oxygen. Glucose or excessive glucose binds to the hemoglobin and glycates it. So it becomes glycated hemoglobin. And that's, if you have that reading high, so lots of glycated hemoglobins, then that's an indication that you've got poor regulation or dysregulation in terms of blood sugars in your bloodstream. And so that's an indicator of type 2 diabetes, because your body's not properly managing the amount of glucose in the bloodstream. And often it's a reflection of poor diet and poor lifestyle. So that's what the causation is eating too many high GI, high glycemic index foods, so very processed foods that contain a lot of glucose. And one of the main contributors to this is soft drinks. So soft drinks are full of sugar. As you've seen, how many tablespoons of sugar are in a typical can of soft drink is incredible. It's somewhere in order of it. I can't remember if it's teaspoons or tablespoons, but it's something like 10 to 12 or 10 to 16, depending on what you're measuring, teaspoons or tablespoons. But it's a lot of sugar per can. So you're consuming a lot of sugar. And it's not only affecting adults. So there's been a massive surge in terms of obesity, growing from like 30%, so it's around 32% in the 2000s. Now in 2020s, that adult obese number is now grown to 42%. These are the adult figures in the US, but we're pretty close in Australia, and in other parts of the developed world follow the US trends. Severe obesity has grown from it was 4.7% in 2000 to now over 9% in 2020s. So in 20 years, it's doubled. The adult obesity has grown around 50%. Childhood obesity is also growing at an alarming rate. So it's like, I think teenagers have grown in terms of from like 17% to now 21%, 22%. Kids around 5 years old has also grown to close to now 10%. It was around 5%. I remember when I was going to school, when I was in primary school, that in a whole school year of around 60 kids, there was probably one kid that was overweight. And that was, back then, it was due to medical reasons. But that was one kid in 60. You look at the rates now, like 20%. So like that's 20%. We're talking around 15. It'll be 15 kids. So like 15 times more than what I observed when I was growing up as a kid. So it's an alarming rate. It's very concerning. These weight loss drugs obviously see that there's a huge market to capture, and they're onto it. And so these studies, so what does the study show about these weight loss drugs? So the Ozempic, which was the first study or the first drug approved on the market that I'm aware of, there may have been some others, but certainly the Ozempic is the one that is quite a common brand name out there. Its study was done over 30 weeks. So 30-week study. The patients in the study were taking 2 milligrams injected once a week. So once a week, 2 milligrams, and over 30 weeks, they lost 4.5 kilos. So not huge. So some of the later studies, and what they've done is they've upped the 2 grams, the milligrams, the injectable. So they're increasing the drug dose. Obviously suits the drug manufacturer. They're selling more volume of the drug. And so another study was done over 68 weeks. 68 weeks, the population lost 15% of their body weight. Okay. So that's a substantial amount, 15% over 68 weeks, over a year. However, people lose that just by eating better, by exercising. So those sort of weight loss rates are achieved through diet and lifestyle changes. You don't need to take a drug. It does help those that struggle with the motivation to do diet and lifestyle changes. And so this can kickstart that motivation. They can start seeing some weight loss. However, long term, the person that's taking the drug ultimately should be changing their diet and lifestyle at the same time as taking the drug, so that they can then revert to diet and lifestyle as opposed to a reliance on the drug for a lifetime. Because if you stop taking the drug, the weight comes back. Of course, nothing's changed. You're still eating the same crap and you're still not exercising. And so it's a bit of a vicious cycle. And it's typical of these drug companies. They don't mind. They want to sell more of the drug. They don't care if you don't do anything in addition to taking the drug or make any changes in addition to taking the drug, because they're still getting their money. They're getting paid. They're making product sales. They're happy. Their shareholders are happy. And so Weight Watchers, in order to stay in the market, so they had a 15% drop in their subscription base, which was quite significant because that subscription base to their Weight Watchers products was growing over the course of decades. And they had a 15% drop. Their share price was plummeting as a result of these new drugs coming to market and the results that the new drugs were getting and the uptake of the new drugs. So these drug companies, share prices were surging, Weight Watchers was plummeting. So what Weight Watchers done was they actually acquired a telehealth prescriber. So a telehealth prescriber of drugs. And so they're now in the game. They can prescribe these weight loss drugs through their acquisition of a telehealth service provider. So in order to stay in the game, they're now changing their offering, and they can obviously prescribe this drug, and hopefully they then help the clients along with better eating, more supportive eating habits. But again, they're buying their products, and so Weight Watchers just want to sell more of their products as opposed to empowering the person to be able to do it themselves. And ultimately, that's where ultimate success is where the person is empowered and takes control of their own health and ownership of their own health, and they make changes, and they can make those changes and they can sustain them for a lifetime, ultimately, if they understand what they're doing and they're educated in this process. But Weight Watchers are selling mainly products. So yes, they provide some services, but as to how much they're empowering their clients or they're creating a dependence, obviously a subscription, you want some sort of dependence on your product offering. So that's their business model. Yes, they help people. They help people lose weight. They've changed people's lives, which is great. And I'm sure these drug companies are also having a similar impact. But I'm just wanting to share as to the good and the bad and the ugly. I've certainly shared the benefits of taking the weight loss drug. Now, in terms of where it's at today, the new one to market, the Pfizer product, the Deniluperon, if I'm pronouncing it right, probably not. But anyway, that one is about to be approved or is in the market now, just getting around. Its study was done over 16 weeks, and it had various dosages from 2.5 milligrams twice a day. So now that original study I shared was 2 milligrams once a week for 30 weeks, which resulted in 4.5 kilograms. That was the Ozempic. Ozempic now offer a lot higher dosage. So their dosages, I think, are greater than 50 milligrams, up to 120 milligrams. And their pill that they're wanting to bring to market is, I think, around the 50 milligrams. So the study that was conducted by Pfizer over 16 weeks was a range of participants broken into, I think it was 6 groups, a placebo group where they were given nothing or fake, a dummy. And then the other groups were like 2.5 milligrams, 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams, 50 milligrams, 125 milligrams per dose twice a day. Okay, so significant more than that original Ozempic study. And over 16 weeks, the ones taking 120 milligrams of the product twice a day, a collective, or not a collective, but an average weight loss of 4.5 kilos. So 16 weeks, 4.5 kilos. It's just over 1 kilo a week. Okay, with my clients, we achieve between a zero point 0.5 and 1 kilo per week weight loss just through simple diet and lifestyle. Simple. It's not complicated, really simple. So again, I guess it's significant for those that have really struggled to make any diet and lifestyle changes, but very insignificant for those that have made diet and lifestyle changes and how much that has changed their weight and how much better they felt for that weight loss. And so you can empower yourself through education, getting the support that you need, the guidance you need to achieve weight loss. I'm going to share some tips now. But before I share my tips as to where to start with weight loss, I would like to let you know the ugly side of these drugs. So in terms of the common side effects, so people taking it within the 16-week window or the 30-week window, obviously more of the drug you take, the more of the side effects you experience. That's quite clear. So these common side effects: vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, nausea. They're the common side effects, okay? So I don't really feel like that nausea feeling. I don't like that feeling sick in the stomach. I don't think anyone does. And when you're feeling sick in the stomach, of course, you don't feel like eating because you feel like you're about to vomit, okay? So I can see how it helps in terms of people not wanting to eat, but you're constantly feeling nauseated. Fatigue was the other one. So feeling less energy. Who wants less energy? I don't want less energy. When I help my clients, they have more energy, okay? They don't have nausea. They don't suffer diarrhea, vomiting, fatigue, constipation. Essentially, there's no side effects to making diet and lifestyle changes yourself. I'm going to share those tips shortly. But the other ugly side, the longer term side effects, which is really concerning. So those that take the drug and then need to keep taking the drug because they're not willing to make the diet and lifestyle changes, then they're going to have a dependency on the drug, take the drug for longer periods of time, and it has been associated with diabetic retinopathy. So damage to the retinas, a retinopathy. Okay, so diabetic retinopathy. So essentially a disease of the retina. It's been associated with kidney disease. It's been associated with thyroid cancer, tumors, all things that I don't think anyone wants to have as a part of a long-term consequence of taking a drug, where you could avoid taking the drug long-term by having it maybe a short-term use of it just to get the momentum and some short wins, quick wins, and then at the same time, and this is what I recommend to my clients, take the drug, but at the same time, let's change your diet, let's change your lifestyle so that the change in lifestyle, the change in diet can take over from the drug and you don't have a dependency on the drug long term, and you're not going to be exposed to these ugly side effects. Who wants cancer? I don't. I certainly don't want cancer. I don't want eye damage. I want my eyes for life. I enjoy being able to see food, see people, see things, see places. And I certainly don't want kidney disease, because kidneys have been correlated to longevity. So strong kidneys, a good long life. So we need good, strong, active kidneys, and we don't want to damage them through taking excessive drug consumption. Pancreatitis was the other one. So that's inflammation of the pancreas. So pancreatitis, inflammation of the pancreas, no thank you. I don't want that, because chronic inflammation of the pancreas could result in cancer, pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer is very quick and a low probability, a low survival rate. So I certainly don't want to put my hand up for that. I don't want pancreatitis. Pancreas really helps us in terms of digesting food, okay, and getting the food digested so we can assimilate the nutrients. We need our pancreas. We need our pancreas to fuel us, essentially. So we don't want an inflamed pancreas so it doesn't. And again, constant these glucagon-like peptides, GLP-1s, glucagon-like peptides. So this drug binds to those receptor sites and the pancreas releases insulin. And so that constant binding, that constant exposure. And again, what happens, our body adapts to the drug. And so it will slow down the amount of receptors available. So there'll be probably less receptors, or it might actually make more receptors available, and therefore you need more of the drug. Okay, so, and then the other thing is your body makes more of the enzyme to break down the drug because it's trying to maintain homeostasis. So it's trying to maintain balance in the body. So it will produce more of the enzymes that break down the drug. So you're going to need more of the drug to have the same effect. And the pancreas will respond in such a way is it will become a bit desensitized to the drug. And desensitized, I'm not quite sure which way it will go, whether it will reduce the receptor sites or increase the receptor sites. Either way, you're going to need more of the drug to have the same effect. Okay, so that's the ugly side of the drug. So I've shared the good, the bad, and the ugly. The bad probably being those common side effects. The ugly is the long-term consequences of taking the drug at long-term. Now, what can you do about weight loss? How can you lose that 0.5 to 1 kilo per week without taking the drug? Or if you choose to take the drug, and again, I didn't mention the other side is the cost side. So $270 per week for this injectable. That's a lot of money. So, and what does it equate? Yeah, 270 per week, 1,300 per month, and over 16,000 per year. That's US dollars. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. And so if the Australian government decides to subsidise it for type 2 diabetes, as part of its enhanced primary care plan to keep people out of hospital, it may subsidise the drug. It's going to come at a large cost to the taxpayers and a significant cost to the economy. So it's not going to be win-win either way, because if people aren't becoming, like if they're not making the diet and lifestyle changes and they're becoming more dependent on the drug and need more of the drug for the same effect, it's a vicious cycle. It's going to cost the government more, cost the person more, and who wins? Really don't know. I really don't know, because they stop taking the drug, they're going to keep gaining weight. If they keep taking the drug and keep the weight off, then there's the risk of those other long-term side effects that I mentioned, such as the cancers, pancreatitis, the retina damage. So, yeah, and that's going to result in hospitalization and more costs to the government. So it's no silver bullet, so to speak. It's no quick fix. It really isn't. A quick fix if you're willing to make the diet and lifestyle changes complementary to the taking the drug. Okay, so enough about the drug. Let's move on to diet and lifestyle changes. What can you do about this? Okay, so let's start with the diet. Okay, what can you do about your diet? Well, I say start simple. Start looking at water consumption. How much water are you consuming a day? Are you consuming around 2 liters per day? Think about it and monitor that. That's the first step. Simple as that. Consume more water. Okay, water is really fundamental for our insides to operate well. Okay, it really helps with detoxification. Get toxins out of the body. So we need that. We need to get toxins out of the body and need to reduce inflammation in order to regulate blood sugar. So that's one of the ways. Drink more water. Simple. Next, move more. Okay, move the body more. So moving the body more, you will better help the uptake of glucose from the bloodstream into the cells through moving. Just moving your body. Simply walking. Okay, simple. Walk a bit more. Take stairs a bit more often. Take public transport. If you take public transport, you need to walk to bus stops, walk from the bus stop to work, all those sort of things. So it encourages more walking by taking public transport. It's also better for the environment, okay? So walk more. Go for walk and talk meetings with your colleagues. Go for walk and talk meetings with your partner. Walk and talk catch-ups. Spend time with your partner and kids through walking. Just walk. Decide to walk as opposed to drive. Go for bushwalks or that little activity. So, and again, it's not much. It's 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day is really not much. So do exercise, move the body more. Resistance training is also really advantageous for the uptake of glucose into the cell. Okay, get it out of the bloodstream. You can do it. Resistance training, push-ups, sit-ups, squats, lunges, walking upstairs. It's Walking up hills, that's resistance training. Swimming, resistance training. I'm sure there's something there you can do. Okay, so do some resistance training. Get advice from a personal trainer. Go and see a personal trainer. Get them to set you up on a program. See an exercise physiologist. Get them to set you up on a program. Start exercising, moving the body. Drink water. Simple. There's two simple things. And probably applying both of them could result in a 0.5 to 1 kilo weight loss per week, which is equivalent to what the studies are showing with the weight loss drug. Okay, just from those two simple changes. The other one is eat slower. That's a real simple one. Eat slower. So slow down your consumption, your rate of consumption. So what I want you to do is sit, relax, be relaxed, take some deep breaths, say grace if you're religious, say a prayer, be grateful for the food in front of you, slow down, connect with what you're about to eat, be grateful for who's put it in front of you, relax the body and eat it slowly. The enjoyment with food is in the mouth, okay? It's in the mouth. So chew more, swirl it around your mouth, you start digestion, you break down carbohydrates and fats. That starts in the mouth, okay? Let the brain know what you're taking in terms of macronourishment. We can start to get some signals as to, okay, I sense there's some carbohydrates. I need to release enzymes to break down carbohydrates. Oh, there's some fats. I'm going to release some enzymes to break down fats. Oh, there's some protein. I'm going to release some enzymes to break down protein. So your digestion will improve, okay? So that will help digestion. Your food won't sit there. By eating slower, you actually start to register the signals that you're full. Okay, you don't need a drug to tell you to slow gastric emptying into the small intestines. You don't need that constant signal from the drug to the brain saying, look, I'm just, we're slowing it down here. So therefore, don't bring any more food in. You're full, you're satisfied. You can slow it down by eating slowly. Okay, eat slowly. And that's a big win. So eat slowly, drink more water, move the body. Quite simple. 3 tips, cost you very little. Okay. Yes, it might cost you a bit to see a PT and an exercise physiologist, but to do more walking per day, really nothing, a bit of time. Okay. But you can then leverage that time by having a meeting, by talking to a work colleague on the phone, by physically having a work colleague next to you and walking with you and brainstorming. You can take a loved one for a walk. So you're having partner time as well as moving the body. So you can do many things. You can take your kids for a walk and get playful with the kids, do some play with kids. That's fantastic. That's also moving the body when you're playing with your children. Play ball games with your children. That's fun. Join a club of a sport that you love and join the recreational group and do that on a regular basis. That will keep you more active. So that's not going to cost you a lot either. Drinking more water is hardly going to cost you a cent. And eating slowly, nothing. It's just going to make you have more fulfillment for what you're eating. And yes, that applies to chocolate too. So if you love chocolate, eat it slowly. You'll need less of the chocolate. So you'll save money. You won't eat a whole block and then think, I'm still not satisfied. You'll get the satisfaction from one piece if you eat slowly, okay? Eat slowly, you'll save you money. You'll eat less. So embrace that. Eat slowly, mindfully, and you'll save money and you'll get the satiety signals at the right time where you're not overfull, you haven't overeaten. You'll get the satiety signals to say, yes, you've had enough. Chill out, move on, do something else. And then you'll think, oh, I didn't eat much, but I'm happy, I'm satisfied. And you'll find over a period of time, you'll consume less because you'll realize that you need less in order to give that satisfaction because you eat slowly. Okay. So what is it? Drink water, move the body, eat slowly. Simple. Now, in terms of what you buy from the supermarket, what do you buy? Buy fresh, whole foods, less processed foods. So buy fruit, buy some fruit, have your fruit basket full, okay? Fruit is the best form of sugar to get into your body because it comes packed with vitamins and minerals and fiber, okay? The fiber slows down the release of sugar into your bloodstream, so it won't spike it as much as having a lolly or having a soft drink, okay? You won't get that real spike because the sugar is with fiber, and it takes time to release the sugar from the fiber. Okay, so have plenty of fruit in the fruit bowl that you can enjoy. Eat seasonal, so make sure it's then has the optimum amount of vitamins and minerals. Seasonal fruit. Okay, so what's in season? Find out. Look at what's the seasonal fruit for whatever season you're in. I have listeners all over the world, so you pick your season, look it up as to what's in season for that time of the year, what's available. And it's also, when it's in season, it's cheaper. Saves you some money in times of rising costs of living. Okay, whole vegetables. Get yourself a variety of vegetables and also whole grains, and then just simple recipes. Stir fry vegetables, okay, with a bit of meat. Simple. Stir fry vegetables with a bit of meat. You can throw in a bit of rice. You can make vegetable soup. You can make slow cooked meals with vegetables and some meat on a bone that gets pulled off the bone, that's juicy and delicious and soft, okay? Tenderized. If you're vegetarian, you can have vegetables and tofu. Vegetable and tofu stir fry. You can have a fish stir fry with vegetables. Again, it's really simple. These things are quick and easy. They're 15 to 30 minutes. Doesn't take a lot of time. Look at Jamie Oliver's book for quick meals under 15 minutes, quick meals under 30 minutes. Your supermarket also has magazines that have these quick recipes. There's quick recipes with whole foods with minimal ingredients, but they're whole foods and it gets you cooking. The great thing about cooking is that your senses pick up the aromas, the smells, the taste. You start tasting. And what happens is your body produces the digestive enzymes to get ready to digest that food. And so what will happen is you'll have better digestion. You eat slower, you'll eat less, you'll enjoy it just as much because it's spending more time in the mouth. And overall, consuming less calories, you're going to be winning. You're going to be at that 0.5 to 1 kilo per week, okay? Equivalent to those taking those drugs, and it will save you money. Those drugs are very expensive. So, whole foods, simple. Eat slowly, water, move the body. Okay, what else can you do? Manage your emotions. When your emotions are running you, you'll look for temporary fulfillment, and you could go for food. And that temporary fulfillment associated with food is sugar, carbohydrates, and fats. Okay, so how do you avoid that emotional eating? Regulate your emotions. If you start feeling emotional, start to breathe, connect with breath, connect with the nature, go outside, get some sunshine. Okay, really important. Regulate your emotions so that you can run your life and not let your emotions run you. Really important. If you want more on the emotion side of things, I've done some earlier episodes on emotional regulation, emotional management, stress management techniques. Just look, there's over 180 episodes for you to choose through. You'll find it. If not, send me an email and I will send you the appropriate podcast that will give you more information. The last point I'm going to leave you on is eat during daylight hours. Our digestion is oriented around the sun, okay? We have optimal digestion around the sun. Eat most of your calories during daylight hours. Do not eat large amounts of calories or food at nighttime because our body is not producing the enzymes like it does during the day. It has less enzyme production. It's harder it takes, it's more work for the body. The food stays in there longer and you're not moving your body. It's more likely you're going to be more sedentary at nighttime. So what is the food? The food goes, the energy goes to stored. It gets stored. Stored energy. What's that? It's fat. Who wants fat? Okay. So eat during daylight hours. When you're moving the body, you can utilize the energy and your digestion's at its optimal. So eat during daytime. Okay. Really important. So what is it? Drink more water, move the body, whole foods, fruit, vegetables, real protein, none of the fake stuff, real protein. So meats, tofus, beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, they're all proteins. Okay. Whole grains, eat them. Eat during daylight hours. Okay. Eat slowly. Really simple. It's simple. And these tips alone, implementing these tips alone, will give you the 0.5 to 1 kilo of weight loss per week without the drug, without the common side effects, without the long-term implications, without the cost. It's a lot cheaper to make diet and lifestyle changes. If you need support, I'm here for you. So just reach out, send me an email. Let me know if you want support on how to do this in conjunction with the drug. I'd be more than happy to help you so you don't have a long-term reliance on the drug, and you can maximize the effect of the drug while you're taking it. You can get your best return on investment, and also you get set up for a lifetime to be able to do it yourself, empowered yourself. So I'm all about educating, empowering others so that they can take ownership of their health, and they don't have a dependence on the government, they don't have a dependence on the drug manufacturers, and they don't have a dependence on anyone else, including me, because they're empowered with what to do with respect to their health, and that takes them in the direction of their health goals. Most importantly, everyone has different health goals. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Me and My Health Up. As I said, reach out if you want further support. I'm here. I'm available. I'm a fully qualified clinical nutritionist and lifestyle medicine specialist. This is my area of expertise, and I want to help you whether you choose the drug or not. I'm here to help to make sure that you're empowered for a lifetime, and you have longevity, and you have optimal energy and vitality. That's what I'm all about. If you've liked this episode, or if anyone you know that's contemplating the use of the drug or considering it, please share it with them. Give them a broader perspective of the drug, the good, the bad, the ugly, the alternative, or what you can do concurrently with the drug. It will be great insight for them. Please share it with anyone else that you know is considering the weight loss drugs. I would love them to hear the episode, get empowered so that they can make some changes themselves and empower themselves on their journey to where they want to be. So thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate your ears, and stay tuned in for more insightful episodes of Me and My Health Up. Podcast disclaimer. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it do not constitute medical, healthcare, or professional advice and are provided for general information purposes only. All care is taken in the preparation of the information in this podcast. Connected Wellness Proprietary Limited, operating under the brand Me and My Health Up, does not make any representations or give any warranties about its accuracy, reliability, completeness, or suitability for any particular purpose. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it are not to be used as a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, psychiatric, or any other mental health care or healthcare in general. Me and My Health Up recommends you seek the advice of a doctor or qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Inform your doctor of any changes that you may to your lifestyle and discuss these with your doctor. Do not disregard medical advice or delay visiting a medical professional because of something you hear in this podcast. This podcast has been carefully prepared on the basis of current information. Changes in circumstances after publication may affect the accuracy of this information. To the maximum extent permitted by the law, Me and My Health Up disclaims any such representations or warranties to the completeness, accuracy, merchantability, or fitness for purpose of this podcast, and will not be liable for any expenses, losses, damages incurred, indirect or consequential damages, or costs that may be incurred as a result of the information being inaccurate or incomplete in any way and for any reason. No part of this podcast can be reproduced, redistributed, published, copied, or duplicated in a form without prior permission of Me and My Health Up.